episode 36 here of the Bullpen. We are coming off Labor Day weekend, kind of the last weekend, I guess, of the summer. I don't think it technically is, but it always feels that way. I know the weather's really starting to turn to fall here in Illinois. Football started up this weekend. But one thing I wanted to ask you guys, instead of the typical how are you doing, I hope you guys are all doing well, number one, but with it being Labor Day, obviously it's a big grill weekend. What is your favorite condiment to throw on a burger, hot dog, brats? What do we got here?
Differ from a hot dog to a burger to a
What do you got?
potentially a brat. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna need time to think, but hot dog has to be mustard. But I will admit I'm a sneaky, guilty pleasure. We'll throw a little ketchup on there once in a while.
See, what is with this guilty pleasure? Like, this blows my mind. I've moved out here, and, like, everybody's like my fiance's family's like, oh, you can't put ketchup on a hot dog. It's like, why? It's good.
You can't.
What?
You can't put it on a Chicago dog, obviously, but
Well, everyone on this podcast knows I'm the pickiest eater in the world and have the taste buds of a 3-year-old, is probably putting it lightly. So I don't ever go anywhere near Chicago dogs, but I'm a ketchup guy on both, for what it's worth, hot dog or a burger. So that's what I got.
Sneaky mayo.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, sorry,
mustard all
Gab.
the
I'm
way.
not a condiment guy. So
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Maybe some
Dry.
ranch, maybe some mayo. I'm not touching ketchup or mustard. Count me out. So
Ranch on which one?
Oh,
Out of
none
curiosity.
of those. I'm just talking
Oh.
condiments in general.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm not
Oh.
putting ranch on a
You
hot
scared
dog.
me there for a second,
Yeah,
Drew.
or a burger.
I was really concerned.
Little mayo on a burger, but no, that's all I got.
Yeah. I
What
think
about you,
it's
Gavin?
mustard for me all the day. Brat, hamburger, hot dog, anything. But yeah, with that though. So I know this is baseball, but we gotta say, just next Monday, Bears. I think it's Monday, right? They play the Vikings, Week 1, 7:15. I'm fired up to see the Ben Johnson era, see the new offense. I'm unfortunately very hopeful. I know the Packers just got Micah Parsons last week, so that can throw a wrench in some things in the North. But I'm excited.
That Parsons thing is very interesting. Not even talking about what it does for the Bears, but I don't know if this is legit or if what I was reading was true, but like, did his back issue somehow get kind of somehow through his physical with the Packers? Because I'm hearing
That's
now
the
he's going to
vibe.
be having to take epidurals throughout the season.
Yes.
Like, he's got a pretty bad back issue. Them giving
just
up
found
Kenny
about-
Clark and 2 first-round picks. What's that?
I just found out about this today, so I think that is the case. Like they said he's going to have to do it this week to even play for Week 1 for them. So I don't know if like they kind of somehow snuck it by and the Packers didn't know, but I don't know. Could be bad.
I would want to hear more on this, yeah. Because
I'm pretty sure both teams have to do physicals for any trade. Like,
and I hope the Packers did or something. Or
Yeah,
they
like
passed
they-
it through yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how something that big gets through, but like you said, like, I don't know that they give up all that if this back injury is as serious as it sounds. So I almost think it had to get through. I'm obviously a big Micah Parsons guy, right? I'm the Penn State fan on this podcast, so I think it's a great trade for the Packers and Jerry Jones. I hope he lives forever because I hate the Cowboys. But yeah, weird stuff going on with his back. It's a weird situation.
Sign him to a new deal, give up that much. You would think they would know he's coming in with a back issue, but
You would
maybe they
hope.
just didn't know quite the extent. I just thought that was very, very interesting. And then yeah, I'm excited too for the Bears, but I'm nervously excited. I do this every year. I get super pumped. I was super pumped last year for the game, and they proceeded to lay an egg on day 1 or game 1 of the season. But no, I'm hoping for good things and just excited to see some Bears football and hopefully some well-coached, hard-nosed, understanding pre-snap and not taking dumb penalties and competing and playing 3 sides of the ball. And I'm a little worried about the special teams with what I saw in preseason. I know that's but we were getting kicks blocked last year, and I don't know. They got to shore that up, but it's an exciting time of year.
They also have the toughest schedule, right? Isn't that true?
I believe
In the
so. It's
NFL.
definitely tough.
So
yeah.
that's a little disheartening, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I just want to see competitive games, to be honest. I don't want to see blowouts. I think it was cool seeing how like Ben Johnson has been getting them to call the plays faster in the huddle, or working with Caleb Williams on that, and then trying to get him to be quicker to throw the ball. And I know they're kind of setting up plays to get him to be quicker, which I think is going to be fun to see just how those two can kind of work together. But I'm pumped next week, kind of get things going. But one thing I wanted to mention, Illinois football beat Western Illinois 52-3 this weekend. The reason I'm bringing this up, while watching the game, I didn't realize how many Illinois products were on that team. Aiden Lawfery, a guy I mentioned last week, he's a running back from Gibson City, ran for 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Caden Fegan is like their backup running back, but he's like the power back. Aiden Lawfery's kind of like your speed back. Fegan is from Arthur, Illinois, a really small town down there by Champaign. Ran for 74 yards and a touchdown. And then Hank Beatty is from Rochester, caught 5 passes for 108 yards, and then ran a punt return back for a touchdown. And I believe he was the Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week for that. So a lot of good Illinois guys doing some awesome things. I'm sure there's plenty more that I'm missing, but just really cool to see, Illinois have guys like that. And then also Illinois is currently, I don't know if they updated the rankings yet, but they were number 12 last week. I don't know what their new ranking is or if they're doing a ranking yet, but cool to see for Illinois for sure. And then looking over at some baseball stuff, Dane Poe sent this over to us last week. Brendan Tunick made the Arizona Complex League All-Star game. He's batted .300 so far in the year with 5 homers, 17 RBIs, 5 triples, 10 doubles, 35 runs scored. So cool to see someone like that from Illinois kind of tearing it up there in some minor league ball.
I saw
Mr.
Jude
Tunick.
Warwick was doing well,
Newman
too.
Central Catholic 2024 grad, just for anybody out there. Go ahead, Pete.
No, just Jude Warwick was he had a good year too. I saw here.
I thought I saw that too, Pete. I want to say they might be in the same complex or in that same game that Gavin's talking about that Dane sent over. I'm actually curious. I want to go look that up because I was seeing he was a standout for the Tigers as well.
Well, one thing too, so kind of Cubs related now. The Cubs are second in the NL Central. They are 79-59 as of today, which is Tuesday. They're 5.5 back from the Brewers. Something interesting with their team, they have the fourth lowest strikeout rate in the MLB, 20.3%. And then PCA was the 4th fastest all-time pace leader for 25 homers and 25 stolen bases. He did it in 92 games. Eric Davis did it in 69 games. Alfonso Soriano did it in 91. And then Bobby Bonds did it in 91 games. So PCA is the 4th fastest to 25 homers and 25 stolen bases.
Nice.
Go ahead,
Soriano, that is a throwback name there. That brings me back. Wow.
Any list with Eric Davis is a good list, Gav. It's a
That's
good
a
list.
throwback name too. But
And then I don't know if you guys, how much have you kept up with it, but Matt Shaw too, his second half numbers have been really good. 302, 9 homers, 18 RBIs. His average exit velocity, I guess they've been working on his mechanics of his swing. His average exit velocity has gone up 3 miles an hour in the second half. And then his hard hit rate is up to 35.8% from 27.2% in the first half. So starting to hit the ball a little harder and, seeing it in the stats as well.
I don't know what this guy's stats are, but for me, the guy I'm most interested about in Chicago, maybe over PC, is Colson Montgomery. I every swing I see that guy take, all the highlights of him hitting these home runs since he's been called back, it looks like it could be like the next Corey Seager. The frame is ridiculous. The power to all fields, the fact he can play shortstop. He's come up and kind of hit the ground running, it seems like, since he was called back down. Love to see that for the White Sox. And, that PCA thing's interesting there, Gavin. Owen Cassie got called back down, and we talked about him last week. I was disappointed when I saw that. And the Cubs, they also signed Carlos Santana to maybe do a little platoon action at first base. But, Gavin, have you been watching a lot of games?
Not a ton. Every once in a while I'll throw them on. I feel like they've had some later games at night, so I don't throw those on. Usually if it's like a day game, I'll throw it on in the background while I'm I'm working here, but yeah, I haven't gotten a ton lately, honestly. But just been trying to like dig up some stats and numbers and things like that.
How are those
Yeah.
Reds doing for the playoff spot? That last playoff spot, Tyler.
I mean, their season is on life support. I got to go to the game Friday night when I was back home in Ohio, which was cool. I don't think I'd been to a game at Great American Ballpark since Ellie got called up back in 2023, so it was cool. But they actually won. They've won 2 in a row now, so look out. But they've got a big week. They have a series with the Mets this weekend at home, and the Mets are who they're chasing. So big week for them. We'll see. They'll find a way to hurt me, I'm sure. It's been my life for almost 30 years now. So
Well, they're above 500. I'm just pulling up their their record
that
here.
doesn't happen often either. So I guess I maybe shouldn't be as down in the dumps as I am, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Their
Well,
season's
it's
on
a
life
crazy
support.
tough division. You got the Cubs in that division and the Brewers. I mean, what do you expect over there in Cincy? I mean, come on.
I mean, I don't know. I would just like to. I mean, the way the rules are anymore, like I was listening to something the other day, and it's like it shouldn't be too much to ask that your team just goes to the playoffs every year in the National League. Half the league makes it anymore. 7 of 15 teams make it. It's like, can you just be in the playoffs? Like, I should be asking for more. They haven't won a playoff series since 1995, so I really should be asking for more, but it's sad. I just want them to make the playoffs anymore. It's just...
I'd be curious where
it's
they
really
rank
sad
out of
saying
those
that out loud.
15 teams in the NL for payroll. If they're right in the middle, like
Usually
right by
they're
that
like
7
league
out of 15.
average, or
Yeah.
like 16, in that like 16 to 19 range, like as a whole, out of all 30 teams. But yeah, National League in particular, I feel like there are some really big spenders there. Obviously, you got LA, you got New York, you got Philly, who spends a bunch. Chicago is probably up there in payroll, but like even they don't probably spend like they should. So yeah, when you put it that way, it's probably like, yeah, well, they are probably towards the bottom in National League payroll, but I don't know.
I get it. I get your
yeah.
frustrations. And shoot, you look at the Brewers; they're figuring out a way to compete, and some of
Right.
these other teams.
There's a way
but-
for it to be done. You
Yep.
know, that's what I go back to. Like
Yep.
the Rays there for a while were awesome. Like every year. I mean, I know they're still probably having like a decent year, but it was like the Rays were they used to be what the Brewers are now, where it's like, yeah, their payroll could be like $5 million and they'll make the postseason. So
They'll
there's a
figure
way
it
for it to
out.
be done, but not when it comes to Reds baseball, unfortunately, in my life. So I want you guys to give a season prediction for your Bears. This is unreal. Biggest season of the Bears since I've been out here. I feel like we don't have enough juice coming towards the monsters of the Midway right now. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not
give me
taking-
something.
Let's
I'm
go
not
down the
taking a
schedule.
shot.
Let's go down the schedule. We'll see.
I was
what they're
doing it
gonna
before
win,
this
what they're gonna
started,
lose.
but I want to hear what you guys think before I
I
give
gotta
what my
be
thoughts
honest.
were.
Tyler, you texted me about this before, and for me, that's like I don't want to do it. It's gonna put me. It's just like I feel like you get so hyped up as a Bears fan for so many years. I don't even want to stamp my name on something like that because I feel like I don't want to get myself excited. You know.
No, we're gonna do it.
See,
Yeah, I'm not.
he's
I'm
bringing the
not
energy
messing
I
with
was
it.
looking for.
Yeah, my heart's been tore out. I was at the Double Doink game against Philly back in the day. Like I'm good on my Bears predictions.
Drew said the bad words. I thought those words were banned from this podcast.
No, I'm not scared of it. No, I had a great view of it from right behind. I saw it going. It was sickening.
Oh,
But we'll see. We'll see. I don't think this isn't a make or break year for me by any means with the Bears. This is like, can we get the organization going in the right direction? Do we have the right guy at the helm? Do we have the right quarterback? And from there, I can live with it. If it's the right coach, then the Bears are going to be competing. They're going to be good on all sides of the ball. They're not going to do stupid penalties. The guys are going to play hard for them. They're going to have creative plays. They're going to help Caleb Williams succeed, like you're talking about, Gavin, getting rid of the ball quick. That helps the offensive line. It doesn't allow Michael Parsons to get in there. And we'll see. We got to have a running game. Like Detroit, Ben Johnson, they had an unbelievable running game. And so we'll see what the heck we got there. We got a whole bunch of new offensive linemen. It's probably going to take more than just a couple games to piece that thing together. I can get going here. Like, I can give you a full Bears. I just, if we go game by game down the schedule, I'm going to say, oh, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win, because that's a Bears fan for you. We can beat anybody in the league. So we'll see what happens. But
All right, Him, what do you got? Like
I
16-1? What are we thinking?
It's gonna be 8-9 or 9-8. One of those two.
That's exactly what I landed on. That's kind of where I was at. Obviously, maybe give or take a game, but I was in the same ballpark, so I'm going to take
I'd
your
be
word
happy
for
with
We'll
it.
go 9-8. We'll go 9-8. I think
I'd
that's
be very
love
happy
it.
with that.
I need the positivity, guys. I mean, this is the best time of year. Everybody's got hope, right? This is, unless
It
you're a
looks
Browns
like-
fan.
it looks like they set the over/under at 8.5. So
Did they?
Wow.
seems like a
It's
pretty good
line.
number.
Good line.
Yeah.
All right, well, I can let you guys move on. I just, I wanted some more juice from the Chicago guys here. Like, I get excited for Bears games, and, like, they're, like, my second favorite team by default now. So I just wanted some juice out of the boys, I just thought maybe I'd get Drew to say, hey, we're going to win the North this year, but he's playing it very, very conservative right now. So,
Well, I mean, if you really want to get some juice out of these Bears fans right here, wait till the next podcast. And if
Yeah,
it's
there
coming
we
off
go.
a Monday
Yep.
night win,
all
you
right.
will definitely get some juice from me.
All right. I'm
I'll
going to
be
hold you
fired
guys
up.
to it.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm ready to get into
Yeah.
some 2026s here. Talk some Illinois high school baseball. Gavin, if you want to give the listeners kind of a clue on what
Yeah.
we're doing here today.
So it's going to be kind of a combo. So last week we updated the 2026 rankings. Obviously, at the beginning of August, we had the Illinois State games. So we're going to kind of tie the two together, bring kind of a 2026 rankings talk in with the Illinois State games talk. So we're kind of talking about prospects from the event that showed well, maybe some surprises or winners from the summer, things like that. But just a couple notes I wanted to add on the Illinois State games before opening up to you guys. The event had nearly 400 players. I believe of the 395 players at the event, only 14 players were committed, which I think just kind of speaks to the volume of the uncommitted talent in the state and just at the event as a whole. We now have over 40 commitments from the event, and then there were, again, 60-plus college programs at the event and over 100 college coaches at the event. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about the state games, but I'll kind of open it up to you guys if there's anything you wanted to add on what we're doing today or just the event as a whole.
I'll be the first. I just want to shout out Drew. It's obviously a huge event. 400, like, I'm just trying to think, watching this guy put 400 kids through a workout, or nearly 400 kids through a workout that first day. We also got to be done at a certain time because we got to start gameplay as soon as we can. It's really impressive stuff, and I feel like we, every year we're trying to make it more and more efficient. So I just want to give Drew your flowers there. I know you obviously put in a ton of time and effort behind the scenes that probably goes unnoticed by a lot of people, but not us on this podcast and not us in our little Illinois, Wisconsin ecosystem. So just want to shout you out there.
Well, it's not necessary. I obviously appreciate it, and it is a big undertaking. And I mean, luckily for us in Illinois, like, we have an incredible staff. And that, like, this whole Illinois State games and it continuing to grow, I think speaks to our staff. And what you guys are doing throughout the year. Like, it starts in the winter with all of our preseason IDs, kind of identifying guys for that upcoming spring. Who do we need to see, in that high school season for the Illinois State games, for the future games, for the senior future games, all this stuff we're running. And then all these tournaments that we got Pete here. He's running all the tournaments up at the Rock, at Rantoul. We're seeing hundreds of thousands of players in the summer as well. And, like, all of it plays into the Illinois State games and making it, the event that we hope it is and want it to be, and hopefully continuing to make it better. Because, I think the one thing I'm most proud of with the event is, yes, it has grown. We've added more teams. We're getting more schools. But I don't think the quality has suffered. There's still a ton of really, really good players at the event. And that's what it's all about, is how can we keep that quality for the college coaches the same and continue to grow it? And that just comes from seeing as many players as we can in the state. And it's a year-round process, and it's a multiple-person process. It is a true staff that makes the event happen, selects all the players. You know, I think we do a heck of a job with identifying the players, getting the right ones there, and then from there, you know, that's the players' time to shine. Like, we want to give them the environment that they deserve to be in and belong in, and put them in front of the right coaches. And that's the other beauty of this, is it's not just Power Four, you know, schools. It's schools from all different levels. It's Division Ones in the Midwest. It's D2s. It's D3s. NAIs. The JUCOs, you know, are big at that event as well. So these players are getting seen by every level, and then hopefully they're getting the attention they deserve. And what I love is when these guys get in that environment, in that situation, and they elevate their performance, or, you know, show to their best of their ability. And I felt like we had a ton of those type of performances at the Illinois State Games. I think we might have mentioned it on the last podcast, but Traxton Roberts winning the MV pitcher. You know, he was a future gamer for us. He's a 2027 from Armstrong. And then you had Evan Adamczewski, 2027 left-handed hitter from Maine South, who just went off at the event, won the MVP Position Player Award. And there were a ton of other really good players that are worth talking about. And I think that's kind of what we want to do here, right, Gavin? Is we just dropped the 2026 rankings update after a long summer. The Illinois State Games plays a huge role in it, as does the Senior Future Games, all the tournaments in the summer. But there's a lot of overlap with, like, hey, these rankings were affected by who showed well at the Illinois State Games. So I think, you know, touching on some of those players, and I don't know if you guys had anything else you wanted to mention on that Illinois State Games, but it is a huge endeavor. It's a great event. It's 2 days in and out, a lot going on, jammed into a small, you know, frame of time or time frame. And luckily for us this year, we had amazing weather. You know, from someone where I'm sitting, like, trying to run this event, organize it, and be timely, like, the weather is something I cannot control. And it was absolutely awesome this year.
I just think it's only going to get better. Like, I like what you said, how it's getting bigger, but the quality is staying the same. I think that's totally true. Because there's a lot of good baseball players that weren't there, that deserve to be there. And, you know, we'll try and make it to where we can get those guys in. But even, like, just the little things, like First Phorm being there, giving out protein shakes and, like, the protein bars. Like, I know I snagged a couple of those, and those were clutch. Just stuff like that. Like, the gear we gave out was pretty sweet. Like, I'm rocking that shaker bottle still. I actually saw one at the gym out in the wild. Someone was rocking one, which I thought was kind of cool. But no, it's just only up from here. And they just keep getting better, and it's the place to be to finish off the summer, no doubt.
Well, yeah, before we get into, like, some of the players then, I guess, specifically, like, one thing I wanted to ask, and I think maybe for some new viewers, listeners, coming in, talking about the rankings, looking at the rankings, trying to figure out, like, why someone they know, their son, or why me as a player, why am I dropping in the rankings? But, like, I think sometimes that's not all. There's guys that drop technically, but, you know, they aren't technically dropping in our eyes, Drew. So I guess to all of you guys, like, why are, like, let's talk about why players drop in the rankings, but they're not actually dropping in terms of, like, the prospect status. Like, kind of explain that, I guess.
Yeah.
I hope what I said makes sense, but
No, it does, and it's a hard question. And one that I think a lot of players and parents ask, and I know that because we've gotten, you know, emails and questions when we're out from parents about, hey, how do the rankings work? You know, all this. Why does my son keep dropping? So, I guess where I would start is when players are young, we try to keep the rankings extremely small. We know that at the younger levels, we haven't seen all the players in the state, or even nearly, you know, the amount of players we see at the older ages. So because of that, we keep the list small. The guys that we have seen that we have really good knowledge of, that we feel very confident about, we will put them in the smaller rankings list. And as a player gets older, whether it's Drew Locascio or Peter Hammett or Jimmy Johnson or whoever it is, as they get older, if they were in that rankings originally, it doesn't mean that they're going to always stay in the rankings. Maybe we missed on a guy and he's not as good as we thought. And the velo, maybe he had some injuries and the velo, you know, goes down and it never comes back. And maybe he doesn't need to be in the rankings. Maybe we missed. That does happen. But a lot of the times it's guys that continue to steadily get better or, stay similar to who they are. And we have internal grade scales that we put on players and a grade and a number that we put on guys. But for this argument, let's just say we use, the Madden rating. And let's say we had an 88 on a guy, when he's a freshman. Well, as he gets older, we see more and more players in that grad class. So let's call it the 2032 class. When they're freshmen, we don't see a lot of them. We see a couple of them, whether it's at tournaments, events, whatever. We feel really good about a select few. We rank them. Then as we see more players in that 2032 class, that kid that has an 88, it hasn't changed. We still have an 88 grade on that guy. But the next time the rankings come out, we have seen, let's just call it 200 more players. And maybe 8 of those guys come in with a better grade that we've put on them than that 88 that guy has. So those 8 guys need to be slotted above that kid that has that grade or that rating of an 88. So naturally, when we go to update the rankings are going to expand. There's going to be more players in the rankings, and there's going to be a lot of more players that we've gotten eyes on. And even guys that maybe we'd seen in the past that had gotten better, or guys that we've just had to, we've collected more in-game at-bats on, and their grades have changed, and maybe they need to be higher than that guy. So that guy that was originally sitting at 18 in that ranking, well, guess what? Now there's guys with better grades. Hey, now that guy that was at 18, all of a sudden he's ranked 25th in the state because there's 7 guys that, had to get in ahead of him. So technically he looks at it and is thinking, why am I down at 25th? I was at 18. He feels like he's dropping, and it's in our eyes, that player has stayed the exact same. We are just seeing more players, and it gets even more and more and more as the guys get older. And when they're juniors, seniors, that's when we're getting the crux of all of our looks at these guys, because they're playing high school baseball. Yes, there's a select few that play as sophomores, as freshmen, but the numbers are a lot less than the juniors and seniors you see on a varsity roster. And then also just all the tournaments we run as well. We're running more 17U, 16U stuff than we are 13 and 14U stuff. So I'm sure I missed some things there that maybe you guys want to color in or, build off of what I said. But I think that's kind of the crux of it, is the more players we see, the more chance that a guy, could have a higher grade than somebody already in the rankings and needs to get slotted ahead of them.
I would say much more often than not is that the case. Like, hardly ever are we like, ooh, this guy needs to drop, right? Like, I'd say a lot less often than just like the kid just naturally falling. Like, I'm looking at the rankings right now, and I'm gonna need like multiple hands to find like, I'm counting. Like, there's a ton of guys that I liked that I thought could rise, but they're actually falling because there were just more guys that showed better or like made a bigger jump. And that's just how it goes when you try to extend these rankings to, to what are we at, 275 now? So like that's just how kind of the name of the game. Like, I think we've used this analogy in the past. It's like if you're number 1 in the class at a small school, grade wise, and then you go to a bigger school, you're probably not going to be number 1. You're probably going to be down the list because there's just more kids now that you have to, go up against. And that's just how it goes. Yeah.
There's probably plenty of kids who didn't see their name get ranked when we did this latest update, and like, it's not the end all be all to any parents or players listening. Like, maybe your son isn't ranked. Maybe you're a player listening and you aren't ranked. Like, I wasn't ranked. I went on to play college ball. Gavin, I don't think you were ranked off the top of my head. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like, you went on to play college ball. Hammett was ranked, went on to play college ball, but like, it's not the end all be all. Like, these colleges, they will find you if you are good. So I just want to put that out there. Like, it's not some death sentence that means, hey, you're not good enough to go play college ball, because that's really not the case. We only rank so many guys, but there's others we could have ranked. We could have made a case for a few other guys to get in. Maybe when we do our final update next May or whatever it is, like, there might be 300 plus kids in there. So just want to say that, because it's not, it doesn't mean your son is not good enough to go play in college. It's not the case at all. So
no, and the line from being ranked 250 to 275 to being left off the list is razor thin. A lot of those guys could be interchanged, and maybe it's, hey, this guy hits left-handed and he, runs a little bit better, or he plays a more premium position, or he profiles better defense. Like, there's so many different reasons, but I think you said it perfectly. Like, if you're not on the rankings, it does not mean you're not a good player. We might have missed you. Like, we're not perfect. We've missed plenty of guys in the past. Hopefully, we hit on more guys than we miss on, and hopefully, our process is correct. That's really the main thing that I care about, is making sure we're going through the right process. We're not missing guys just out of sheer neglect. We're actually talking through these guys. We've seen them. We're rewatching videos. We're looking over notes. What I love about it is, with how big our staff is now, we get multiple looks on these guys from multiple different eyes. And when looks vary, it's like, oh, he did this in my look, I didn't love this, or, oh, I love this, and then Tyler comes back, oh, I love this too, and then Hammond comes back, I love this. It just confirms, and your confidence levels on players goes way higher when you're getting the same report back versus when you're getting a guy that's really good one day and not really good the next. And then it's like, okay, well, how do we really truly view this guy? Like, what is he? So there's so many dynamics with the rankings. It's not all about hey, who's the best guy right now. Projection is highly involved. How mature somebody is, how much more development somebody has to go. How much training has somebody put in versus somebody who's a 3-sport athlete, a 4-sport athlete. He's put in 0 training, and currently they're at the same exact ability level. Like, we're gonna go for that guy that's a little maybe more athletic or rawer because he hasn't been able to train as much as somebody else because he's playing multiple sports. And once he gets into college, or once he just narrows it down to one sport, like, look out. So there's so many different things we could talk about with the rankings, but I do think it hurts me when we do the updated rankings and I see a guy that was at 122 and now he's at 137 and he thinks he's falling, and it's like, no, we still love you. Like, you're the same guy. Hunter Ball, we were talking about him before. Like, he technically dropped. His number is lower than it was. He was at 32. He's at 45 now. We love Hunter Ball. Like, there's maybe nobody I'd rather give the ball to in a crucial spot than Hunter Ball on the mound. Like, I think he gave up 1 earned run all season going into the last game. And he's a two-way guy that can really defend. But we've seen a ton of more guys. Like, one guy that jumped right ahead of him is somebody that's up to 93.4. So, like, there's just guys are making huge jumps. Guys all mature at different, ages and times. Like, guys get better, guys get worse, guys stay the same. And then there's guys that we didn't know or we didn't see, or maybe we got one look on and it wasn't great, and then they came out to the state games and they were a totally different player. One right in there in the top 50 just committed an NIU. I know we're going to talk about him later, but like Devin Deloach, a huge winner from the Illinois State games, and it was the best we had ever seen him. We had no idea he was that good. And there's a ton to like there. So I don't know if that answers, your question exactly, Gavin, but I do think it's important for people to know that at least that's kind of where we see it from, why some things happen the way they do. And in reality, all it is a number. Your ranking next to you, it really truly means nothing. And how good you are these guys are 2026s, so they're 17 years old. Really doesn't matter. It's about how good you are, when you're 19, 20, 21, getting into college, maybe at the end of college when they're finally telling you, hey, you can't play pro ball. It's time for you to go get a job. Or maybe you keep getting better and you do latch on and play some pro ball. But the key is to continue to get better until they tell you to stop playing.
Yeah, I think that was perfect, Drew, and all you guys. I hope parents, players, whoever, that really look at the rankings, and I hope they listen to that and take that into account, because I know we talk about it a lot, like it matters a lot to us. So I just hope people realize that, the public realizes that. But I think with players now, like, who were some of the guys maybe at the state games or just in this rankings update that kind of like maybe surprised you or kind of came out of nowhere that really, and I mean, Devin Deloach right there, Drew, is like a perfect example, but were there any other guys for you that showed well that really stood out?
And I feel like, after the first day, this kid was getting a ton of buzz internally from our staff, and that's Zach Toma out of West Aurora High School. He had a huge spring, and we just didn't see West Aurora this year. But but every week, he's doing something, whether it's on the mound, he's throwing like a complete game shutout, or he's doing stuff with the bat. And at the state games, we're like, okay, we see why this kid had such a huge spring. I got to see him for one game on my field, and I thought the bat was really good. And then he also hopped on the mound on my field, and it was like, okay, I see why this kid was so good all spring long. That for me is one where it's like, all right, kid kind of came out of nowhere, and to his credit, he performed at a very high level on a very big stage against the best kids in the state.
He's jumping like 130 spots basically. He's
Yep.
like number 43. I had him on my field too, Tyler, and it's a real. I mean, I only saw him hit, and I feel like we saw him pitching more in the spring. Like it was just complete game shutout after complete game shutout. But it's a real left-handed bat with juice. Like I saw him homer up the middle, like the first game of the day. He was one of the first hitters though, and it was just like a great way to kick things off. But yeah, he's a lot bigger than I thought he was going to be too. He's like really physical.
Same.
Yeah,
Same.
That's a great call out.
Love it. We were eyeing him all spring, like you said. West Aurora, in general, was a team that, since I've been doing this, has never been a top 25 team. They snuck into the top 25 this year. Really, really good year for them. I know they've had some guys in the past couple of years, like Ryan Nedved, who went to SIUE, and some others, but they had a great spring just as a school's concerned. And you mentioned Tomo being a huge part of that. And yeah, he's making a huge jump, and it's one of those things where we had average looks at him in the past, and like he's turned into a real guy. And what's funny is I feel like we all kind of had the same note. I always thought I was really going to like it as an arm, like when I finally saw it, but the more I saw the bat, I was just like, with how strong he is, physical, left-handed hitter, it's like, well, let's not be so sure to just call him a pitcher yet, because that bat looked super real. So I like him as a two-way guy and definitely as a hitter at the next level. But Zach Toma making a name for himself. Great showing there. I just want to touch on Devin Deloche because he's very similar for me. Was hearing his name all summer. Is like, hey, you got to see this guy. Like, probably because his velo just started climbing up. I think Tyler had seen him in the spring. Nowhere near as firm with the fastball, but he comes to the Illinois State games, and I was obviously had my interest peaked because people had been reaching out to me about him. But the just swing and miss dynamic stuff, up to 88 from the left side, thick workhorse type frame, and the fastball was electric. Like, had crazy IVB to it, a ton of ride and run. One of those guys, you tell the catcher to set up middle, and if he pulls it a little bit, great. If he's a little arm side, great. Like, it's going to be around the zone with all kinds of swing and miss characteristics. Andy can spin it. NIU got him a couple days after the Illinois State games, and I'm really excited to see kind of just the way he continues to trend. But that was one that made a huge jump in our rankings, up to top 50 now in the class.
And
Tyler,
to show like how much better he's gotten in such a short period of time. I saw him, I want to say it was March or April. Obviously being a cold weather kid, right? A lot of these Illinois guys, their arms start getting hot in the summer when it's hot out, right? That's when some of their numbers start to jump, right? Pitching in a Midwestern state, man, it's cold until Memorial Day sometimes. So I see him in the spring. He's 80 to 83. Comes to our state games, he's 84 to 87, touching 88. So, which is an impressive jump in its own right. So, and to his credit, he's definitely put some work in. And now he finds himself committed to Northern Illinois.
And Tyler, sticking kind of on a field that your field, Asher Prummer was a guy that, just seeing video after the event, I saw maybe a few pitches of his just walking around. But a St. Joe Ogden kid, just committed to Kaskaskia after the event, up to 88. Thought the curveball looked really good, but for me, he was one. I know Kobe Miller, he interned for us this past summer. He's from St. Joe Ogden. He was a guy that he mentioned, like, hey, Asher Prummer might be one of the biggest winners from the event, just being someone that maybe we hadn't seen in the past. So I don't know if you want to add anything to Asher or on Asher, just seeing him live.
I love that you called him out because he was on my list if we were going to keep going around guys who kind of popped out of nowhere. I'd never heard of Asher, obviously. Gavin, you're nestled in that central Illinois area, so you've seen St. Joe Ogden a few times. I absolutely love the way this kid works on the mound. I obviously have a very soft spot in my heart for undersized right-handed arms because I was a undersized right-handed arm out of high school, and man, the way he pitches like he's 6'4". The moxie, the way he carries himself on the mound. I mean, he's going right at dudes. And it's, hey, I'm throwing this, hit it. You won't, but try and hit it. He's not pitching around he's not nibbling around the zone. He's going right at guys with all of his stuff. Just the energy he was pitching with was awesome to see. I'm a huge fan. He was my favorite arm I saw at the entire event, probably. So yeah, huge fan of Asher Prumer. I love that get for Kaskaskia. Excited to see what his future looks like. But yeah, big fan.
Keep an eye on St. Joe Ogden as far as preseason Power 25. That's a school, like, I just feel like they are so deep with tons of arms, a couple two-way guys. They have to have, like, the most mid-80s arms at the two-way level. I'd be curious who could kind of match that. So should be a fun spring for St. Joe Ogden. A lot of those guys that have been playing roles are now seniors. Love the call out on Prumer. I don't know the right way to pronounce it, but I love the video as well. Sticking in Central Illinois, Gavin, you may have had a guy, but like Trey Hogard, Unity, that was going to be a call out for me. We had seen him, hadn't seen a ton of him. I feel like just getting like brief looks here and there, but up to 89. And it's a long levered, like really athletic, interesting frame and high spin on the breaking ball. That's just a guy to me that I feel like, is only going to get better and impressed me in my short look, kind of not knowing what to expect.
Yeah, I think it was 2023, the spring of 23. I went to see, maybe it was 22. I can't remember exactly. I think it was 23. But I went to see Luke Teschke at Monticello pitch, and they played Unity. And Trey Hogard starts against them, and I think he was maybe a sophomore or a freshman at the time, and low 80s guy, and I'm like, who the heck is this? Like, this is pretty interesting. I think we threw him in the ranking sheet. I don't know if he actually got ranked at that point, but kind of a guy then that we hadn't seen a ton of in the spring for the next couple of years, and then seeing him at this event up to 89 was pretty cool to see, just that he is kind of going on a good trajectory.
Yeah, going back to your notes, you saw him in the early spring 2023, it looks like, March 13th, and he was 80-83.
Yeah.
Of 2023. So, yeah, keep an eye on Trey Hogard. He got into the top 100 for us. But that was one that I liked. And then, Pete, one that we have some kind of familiarity with was Grant Umbright. That was a guy that I had.
I
he had an older brother, Michael Umbright. Naperville Central, was an Illinois State commit, and kind of similar, like a lot of similarities. Like you could tell they're brothers, kind of just by like the pitch arsenal and by their slots, right? Like
Everything.
fastball, changeup guys. Yeah,
they look the same. They move the same. Both could swing it a little bit too, but yeah, I mean, really athletic mover for the size. Fastball comes out really good. And it's a changeup first, off-speed secondary right now. Like the changeup is better than the breaking ball, which honestly might, provide some intrigue. Like honestly, I think someone in that same boat. Not saying the breaking ball's not good, but Henry Humes is kind of in the same. Like the changeup is so good that that throws hitters off. They're not used to seeing that, and I think that's part of why they're so successful. But Umbright, yeah, it's really good mover, really good fastball. Was he on your field, Tyler? Was he 91?
Yeah, up to 91.
Yeah.
I think it's a great call out, Pete, with the changeup thing, because first off, you don't see a ton of guys where their best secondary is a changeup, or like guys that want that to be their best secondary, and then guys that can throw it to righties and lefties. Typically it's like, oh, I throw a changeup. Okay, I only show it to lefties. But yeah, Umbright's got the changeup. He could throw it in any count to any hitter, and it's got swing and miss stuff.
With the breaking ball maybe being behind, I feel like anymore, a lot of these schools can develop that stuff. So I almost feel like it's better to maybe have the changeup be your more advanced offering now. Obviously, you still want to show some signs that you can spin a breaking ball of some sort, but like, just thinking to all of the like pitching guys we've had on this podcast, it's like, man, almost any school now has like TrackMan and Rapsodo and guys that, can really try and fix spin. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that, but that was just something that popped in my head, that it's like, man, maybe anymore it's like better to maybe have the better feel for the changeup right out of high school. But I don't know. Obviously, you still at the end of the day got to have a good breaking ball to get guys out, I believe. But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
you
I don't
gotta
know.
have something, right? Like I think you're
Yeah,
spot on though. Like if you can show an like I don't know resemblance of a breaking ball where it's like, hey, just a little fix of the grip, or why you try this, or maybe we're gonna start throwing a cutter instead of a slider. These guys are really good with kind of manufacturing and figuring out pitch design, and I think one call out I had just kind of sitting here talking, like there were a lot of guys that said they threw two breaking balls, and as you're sitting there watching, it's hard to tell what they're throwing. Is that a curveball? Is that a slider? Like that would be just a suggestion for me for young arms is like figure out one breaking ball that you really can throw well and throw it a lot, and don't worry about a second one unless it truly is two distinct shapes and velos. Like that was like the velos of the curveballs and sliders that are coming in the same with the same characteristics, yet you're calling it, one's a curveball, one's a slider. They're basically the same thing. You're making the offering worse by kind of mixing them together. So just trying to figure out 1 to 2 good off-speed offerings that you can throw in any count to any hitter. But no, I like Grant on Bright. I mean, shoot, we got him into the top 65 now. I would imagine he's getting a lot of attention from that Illinois State games. So
Yeah,
that
he
was a
was
big winner for me.
Me too. Yeah, I want to get in on Caden Shotzek, who's making a big jump into the top 10. He was the last arm to throw on my field, and boy, was it a way to cap things off. I mean, he was every bit of 90-92 from like a workhorse physical frame, like 6'5", muscle bound, right at you. Like the fastball was playing up. It seemed like it was 100. He was pairing it with a really good like gyro firm slider too that has like big swing and miss potential. But then the thing with him, he is also just absolutely demolishing the baseball. He was up to 108 for the EV, and was just all like on the barrel in gameplay, and that's something we'd seen in the summer to the point where like, is this dude a bat now? Like it's hard to tell, like because he was just performing that much. And I know you probably want to get in here, Drew, but it kind of reminds me of his teammate too, Ryan Duncan, where it's like both of them can kind of do it both ways, and you don't know which way it's going to actually end up being, but I mean, just let them do both as long as you can, really.
I mean, I don't think you could have said it any better. I mean, he jumped from number 40 to number 10. A ton of that, being based off of what we saw at the Illinois State games. I just thought it was almost like you can't ignore how loud some of those tools are. Like they just don't make human beings, especially juniors gonna be seniors in high school, look this way and have this much ability kind of across the board. The fact that he's in the zone with the fastball with relative minimal effort, with the crazy IVB he was getting, like it looked like it was exploding out of his hand, like you said, it looked like it was 100. Has a hard slider to pair with it. Like to me, that plays in a college bullpen right now. With the foundation to, become a starter down the road. And then what he does with the bat, like it's a 108 max exit velo. Like it's just a freak of an athlete, of a specimen. And here's the thing I love about it the most is he's from Brimfield. Like he's a small town guy that every time we see him continues to get better. The frame continues to tick up. The stuff continues to tick up. The character, like I love the makeup. I love how he handles himself on the field. Is jumping him to number 10 aggressive? Yeah, it's aggressive. But like if I'm a pro guy, if I'm a guy seeing Caden Shotzek for the first time from Brimfield, like I'm going to be highly interested. And like what you said, Pete, I don't know if I like him more, on the mound or with the bat because there's all kinds of stuff to like both ways. So yeah, I could talk about him for a long time, but like shout out to him because he's doing it. He's the one putting in the work, and I was highly impressed with this most recent look.
To me,
his
that's
frame,
what's you're probably stealing what I was about to say. Go
no,
for
I
it.
was just gonna say his frame has like always been impressive to me. I remember seeing it a couple years ago for the first time at a tournament. I think it was at Rantoul, and it was impressive then. But then when I saw him at the state games, it had been a while since I had seen him, and I was like, he legitimately looks like a college baseball player right now. It's very impressive for a kid that's going to be a senior in high school, or is a senior in high school now, I guess.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going through his pictures on, our site, and it's crazy to see the jump he's made just from last year at future games, which I feel like also kind of ties back into, Drew, what you're saying with these rankings. Like, there's projection involved. Like, there was definitely room to grow into his frame last year when we brought him to the future games. And now you're seeing that now, like, he's very physical. And it's really impressive. It's very, very impressive.
I want to add something, Drew. I'm sorry if you wanted to get in there quick, but you mentioned Caden's fastball velo there, and he was up to 92. I should have said this earlier, but just one thing with just the fastballs in general at the state games, 17 arms at the event were over 90 miles an hour, and 120 arms were over 85 miles an hour. Caden had the second highest fastball velo at the event, so just an unreal stat there that I just wanted to mention. I should have said that earlier at the beginning, but just had to get that in there since we were talking about him.
And I'm looking at the fastball metrics, like average IVB of 20.2, leading to that rise and run and that exploding fastball. And then as you guys are talking, I'm looking back at comments from last year in the future games. And, I don't know if this is what he weighed in at the future games at, but in our write-up, we put that he's 6'3", 191 pounds. And now he's 6'4", 215. So he's basically put on 25 pounds of muscle, and it's cut. Like, it's the right kind of muscle. So shout out there, Caden, jumping into our top 10, rightfully deserved, and really looking forward to kind of seeing what he does here moving forward. This is, the fall, if he is out there, like, this is a time where scouts are going to be looking at those higher level 26s. He'd be a guy that's definitely on my radar for Pro Case, Super 60 this winter, stuff like that. So just as far as a follow and a guy that we need to pay attention to.
Well, staying on that topic of guys who jumped into the top 10 after big state games, Dominic Batista out of Oswego East, I feel like really fits that bill. Now, Grant, everyone on here has been high on Dominic Batista. I feel like we're going on like 2 or 3 years now. We invited him to future games last year. Unfortunately, he had a conflict. He couldn't go. But this kid just continues to get better and better. Watching him in the box, first game that would have been Wednesday night for the Pro Case, the way he like moves around the bases is so fun to watch. It's very I don't know if there's a better word to use, but like it's very swaggy on the bases, like a ton of like just coolness to his game, and it's like effortless. Like it's not a kid who's like faking it. You can have guys who like fake the actions. Like it's real like effortless like swag about his game. And he's long been able to cover ground in center field. He's very athletic. I don't know what he ran off the top of my head.
We have 6'5" in his profile.
Yeah. Like he can move.
Yeah, and it plays up, like you said, on the bases. And I think sometimes when you hear, I think swag can be almost a negative connotation at times. Like, or, maybe he's like too cool for school. Like, to me, it's like that easy confidence. Like, he knows he's good. He loves to show it off. Like, Trey Turner, when he runs the bases, gives me that swag, that cool, that, and I that's like, because it's a high motor. It's not like, I'm cool and I don't like, it's a high motor. He's always looking to take the extra 90. Reading balls in dirt, like first to third, it's not even a question. And he's a center field, profiles in center. So you look like him and Caden are super different. You talk rankings, you talk where slotting guys, like totally different physicality. Dominic's a left guy that profiles in center, kind of top of the order. Caden's more middle of the order, going to impact the baseball, throws right. Sorry, Dominic throws right, left-handed hitter. But, top of the order type guy is going to impact the bases, and Caden's going to be the guy driving guys in. And they're both super impactful. They both can play, at the top of the rankings and be kind of different style players. One of the reasons why I love, scouting and also just the game of baseball is everybody's so different. And what makes somebody good doesn't make another person good, vice versa.
He's super confident. Like
Yep.
that's the vibe I get. Like he loves to run. He's a game changer with his legs, both in the outfield and on the bases. He's always been a ton of fun to watch.
That was a good call out too, because that's like right at the top of the rankings, where those guys get dissected extremely hard. When we start talking top of the class type of guys, one of the reasons being like those are the rankings that then get sent to Shooter Hunt, our national cross checker. Like he's in charge of all of our scouting at the high school level. So we've got to cross check that our list with him when it comes to national rankings. So we're looking at those guys constantly. So Dominic up from number 19 to number 6. He was my favorite guy I saw at the pro case or at the for the pro case team at the Illinois State games. I loved the BP, and then I loved it in game the way the ball was coming off the bat. Like it wasn't all pull. He was, it was like a heavy, loud contact on balls to the opposite field, where he was still showing a ton of twitch and bat speed. Big fan of him. Love that call out.
Max Young is a guy from Muhammad Seymour that I wanted to kind of get in on quick. He is another one of these like Central Illinois guys we've kind of been talking about, like mid-80s arm that jumped in the rankings for the first time here at 115. He was like up to 87, I believe it was, 86.8. Really just like the movement on him. I don't think he was on either of your guys' fields, but I just like the way that he moves. It's really loose and easy. And have you seen Will Pennell from Sacred Heart Griffin? It kind of reminds me. They're very similar in like size and movement patterns. And actually, I remember seeing both of those guys too at the Central Illinois Open in 2024, and they've just kind of both gone on and continued to get better as a prospect. So just wanted to call him out because Max Young was one that I was pretty intrigued by after the event.
Love the video. Like the video, the movement patterns, exactly like you're talking about. And Will Pennell, like what a call out. Threw really well at the state games. Lower 80s, but landed the breaking ball for a strike whenever he wanted to. I was watching a decent amount of his outing. I know it's the same class. I get a little like Gavin Swartz vibe from Max Young. I don't know if it's the loose,
totally
long
see
levers.
Yeah.
It's not as coiled as Gavin Swartz is. It's a little more directional and linear down the mound, but love the loose levers. And Max Young, like Muhammad Seymour's had a boatload of arms coming out of there recently. Looks like they got another one to pay attention to.
And I mean, Gavin Swartz, Drew, you mentioned him. He's a guy that made a big jump in the rankings.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hammett, but he went from 22 to top 10. He's number 7 overall now. Like, I think we all were super impressed late in the spring with him and just how he competed. Like, obviously his stuff I think is something that we've all seen there, but now turning his stuff into like actual competitive pitches, getting guys out, helping lead Normal Community to the state tournament, like just really impressive stuff from him, which I think kind of solidifies why he is in the top 10 now. Just a really interesting arm that I think still has tons of room to get better as well.
I had him on my list. I mean, we had a front row seat to his performance in the state semis, and that kid pitched well enough to send his team to the state finals. I mean, it was awesome stuff. And seemed like he really came on at the end of the spring, Gav, like you said. Like you saw him pitch just as well a time or two, I want to say, in the state playoffs. So I think we're all, huge fans of Gavin, and I think there's a ton more to continue to grow or to dream on with him as well. So
a ton of present real stuff is what like emerged for me. It's like, this is real. Like it was in the zone, the breaking ball first strike, handling tough, tension-filled like environment there, and a ton of different like stressful innings and pitches he had to make, and handled it like with a ton of poise. And then, like you said, you factor in the ceiling, and there's a lot to like there. If we're gonna go off of, I know we're talking some top of the class guys, so I don't know. Do you guys want to stay top of class? Like anybody you had on your list?
I got a
'Cause
guy.
I have some other names I would love to, but they're just not like top of the class guys in this updated rankings.
I got a couple guys down there, but one more guy that's like not at the top, but he rose about 50 spots from Central Illinois as well. Josh Jones had a big state games outing, 90-92. good tight curveball, showed a slider and a changeup. I just feel like he's someone that needs to be shouted out. Like, it was pretty clean. He's another physical right-hander, like it's durable, starters build that could eat innings. Just someone that I want to shout out.
Senior future games, right? We're going through, hey, who's the top 26, uncommitted prospects that we can take to the senior future games? We fill our pitching rotations, we fill our roster, but it's like, man, if we would have seen Josh Jones, do that, it would have been hard for him not to be on that list. Like, it just so happened that outing came after the senior future games. But, like, we're going to miss on guy, like Josh Jones. Hey, maybe he wasn't at the senior future games, but like that's a guy that was deserving of it. And kudos to him for going out and like making his name at the Illinois State games. And I think he threw the ball well all summer long from all the reports I was getting. And this climb in the rankings is definitely warranted. If not, like you could probably argue he could be a tick or two higher. The fact that he's spinning a really good breaking ball with that velo, it's around the zone. He's another guy continues to get better. But it's not a perfect science, I think, is what I was going to say, like picking these teams. So go ahead, Gavin.
He was one that I kind of was just waiting to like pop in that sense. I always liked the way that he moved. I thought it was easy. I know his brother was a good pitcher as well. I know he's in college now. I'm not exactly sure where at, but
Evan Jones, he went to WKU. He went to Western. I'm not sure exactly where he's at right now.
Yeah, so I was kind of waiting for him to be a guy that would come up and get that velo up higher, and obviously it's there now, and I guess I don't know if I'm dropping a bombshell here on you guys. I just found this out myself, but he is actually going to Normal Community now. He was at Normal U High, but now Normal Community has another big time arm for their staff next year, which is going to be legit.
Drew was talking about that preseason Power 25. I think Normal Community will be high once again, which they just made the state tournament this past year, obviously, but I think looking ahead, Gavin, Swartz and Jones are going to be two fun arms for you to go track down there next spring.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you guys have any other like guys like this? I mean, that you want to get in on? I don't know if surprises is the right word, but just big winners.
Well, towards the 70-ish range, I had Sammy Atkinson rose about 70 spots. He was just a big winner for me in the state games. Big winner in gameplay. I thought it was. I liked the at bats he was taking. Explosive hands, like compact swing with strength, up to 104 for the EV, and he's a 6'8" runner, so kind of just tools you can't really ignore. And then Drew Highland. He was another big riser. He rose about, 60 spots or so. He was a two-way winner. He homered for me in the state games. 6'7" runner, had some juice in the bat. He was also up to 88. So, and I know he was one that we saw in the spring at Nazareth. Tyler had seen him, had good things to say. So he was just another one that I feel like was warranted with a jump.
One guy I want to shout out real quick who made a jump in our rankings, but was also, I felt like, really good at the state games. Braden Forney, catcher out of Belleville West, committed to Lindenwood now. Long been one of the best. You could probably make a case he's the best defensive catcher in the state. I mean, watching him this winter, we saw him at a scout day, and man, like, kid could really receive bullpens. We were like just blown away at what this kid was doing in a bullpen setting. And then we see him in the spring, and it's more of the same in game. But I only got to see his batting practice, but heard he showed well with the bat in game as well. But like watching his batting practice, I felt like it was very easy, very simple and repeatable. And he was getting some easy juice off the bat. So that's one guy I wanted to shout out. I feel like he's been a constant arrow up going on, a full calendar year now. So that's one guy I wanted to shout out, Gav.
I had him on my list as well, Tyler. Yeah, made a nice jump there. And Caleb Cox was another one, committed to NIU. Just kind of continues to climb towards the top of the rankings. Went from 46 to 30. We saw him up to 93 at a prep baseball tournament, and I just think there's so much more to come with the overall stuff. The arm talent is one of the top, in the class in the state. Trey Cole, Champaign Central, jumped from 104 to 44, up to 93.4 with crazy good arm talent, kind of like Caleb Cox. I think the sky's the limit there. He's got plenty more to come. It's still like really, really far from being a finished product. Arjun Patel, Lake Park was a winner for me, left-hand hitting outfielder going to Harper. Went from 145 to 77. Really, really looked like a guy at the plate in all of the at-bats that I saw. Ball was coming off the barrel. He was all over the barrel, running well. That was a big riser for me. Zolan Wyatt also jumped into the rankings for the first time. Lane Tech has some of the biggest power at the Illinois State games and hit a home run in gameplay, but he's a guy that jumped into the rankings. Wanted to shout him out. Madden McKim, left-handed hitter from Prairie Ridge. He absolutely raked this spring when we saw them. And then I know he was on the barrel this summer in a couple looks as well. Got into the rankings. Those were a couple guys that I just wanted to shout out. One that surprise. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but like this guy to me, his prospect level and like the grade that we threw on him continued to rise every time we saw him this summer, because it was a couple times. But Nathan Serra, Maine South. Evan Adam Chusky's from there as well, won the MVP award, but like Nathan Serra is just a highly, highly interesting prospect in my mind, and I think a couple of us feel the same way. Like long levered, high waist, still plenty of strength to come, and he can really, really swing the bat. Creates a ton of whip in like at contact. Like there, it's a whippy bat. The ball comes off really well. He's a 6'6" runner now. He can kind of play all over. I think he's still figuring out where he likes to play best. Like, I know there was some discussion on where he was going to play at the state games. He's done third base. He can do the outfield. He can pitch a little bit. But I like it. I think there's a ton to come in the bat, and he's a versatile prospect. He's at 71 now in the rankings.
Yep, he was on my list. I knew he would be on your list, Drew. I feel like he's quickly becoming a fan favorite, I know, for both you and I. But my next guy I want to touch on real quick is just Mickey Lotus. I know we've talked on Mickey a bunch. I really enjoy watching this kid play the game of baseball. Obviously, his dad's a really good coach at St. Lawrence and Pete Lotus. But man, he's jumping 60 spots, now committed to Lewis. This kid runs a 6.5 960. I mean, he can really flat out get out of the box too. It's not just, hey, I run a fast 60. He's fast in game too. So just really love watching Mickey play, man. He's a ball player. I think that's a really good get for Lewis.
I just wanted to touch on quick. He wasn't at the state games, but Landon Crawford from Farmington, he's coming in at number 50. I saw him like maybe a week after our last rankings update in the spring. He was pitching in I believe it was a regional championship game against Peoria Notre Dame over at Fieldcrest High School. But he's just like a big, like lanky left-handed arm that's like up to 89 in that game. Solid breaking ball with it. He's just a guy that we had heard about. Went out to see him. Tried to see him sometime this summer, but I don't think we ever caught him on the summer circuit. But just a really, really upside, interesting left-handed arm that I think we mentioned before in another podcast. We're kind of unsure like what coaching he's had so far and how much he's put into baseball. Like he might just be naturally gifted. I really have no idea, but just an interesting left-handed arm from Farmington.
That was another guy, like we mentioned, we invited Dominic Batista last year to the future games and he was unable to attend. Crawford was the guy we invited to the senior future games, and he was unable to make it work to get down there. I mean, it is in Georgia. There's a ton of logistics that go into it, but I hope that speaks to just how much we liked him. Like, I love the video when you saw him, Gavin. Like, I thought it was really clean for how big he is from a small town, and then the breaking ball, the action, and the feel for it just gave me a lot. Like, it was checking a lot of boxes for me. I would think a ton of coaches should be on him, or at least interested in him. Another lefty I was going to call out, I don't know if he was on anybody else's list, but like as kind of as a surprise, Aiden David from St. Patrick, left-handed arm. I would need to pull up his profile to get the exact metrics here. Charles Frady, who's interned for us in the past and was back this summer helping out, he actually saw Aiden throw this spring. Gave us his name. It was mid-80s at the time, and then I just thought at the state games, like everything was just a little bit better than I expected. I thought the stuff was a little bit better, the repeatability, the strikes, the velo had gone up a little bit, and he was getting a lot of swing and miss in his outing. Like I thought he threw the ball really, really well, and that was a name that deserved a shout out.
I agree. Yeah, I thought he threw it really well. Another one that I thought threw it really well, William Houston. He's making a nice little jump here. I think about 30 spots. Let me see if I can find the exact. Yeah, he's going exactly 30 spots from 109 to 79. He's one, Drew, that me and you, I mean, we were fans of him a few years ago, and the velo was a lot lighter. That's just one of those cases where you see a young-looking kid, right, with a ton of upside. You're looking at the way it moves, right? This is why when we're evaluating younger kids, the velo, the radar gun does not matter that much because you're looking at how do they move, how does the arm work, and it was a really good mover, and you're like, all right, that kid, he's just gonna throw harder. Like as he gets older, and he still has a lot of room to add on strength, but he's up to 90, and it's really clean, and there is a lot more in that tank still. I thought he was one of the biggest winners for me, and I've gotten a few coaches reach out on him, so he had a great showing.
Yeah, and just any players out there, if you are trying to get recruited or show yourself as, as best as you can from a presentation standpoint, superficially or not, like you should shave your face. You want to look in any sport, I would imagine, but especially in baseball, like you want to look as young as you can possibly look. You want to be as far away from your physical ceiling and your playing ceiling as possible. Like when these coaches are recruiting you, go into these showcases, you don't want to have a full beard that it looks like you've been growing since you were in 8th grade because you're probably really close to your ceiling, if not at your ceiling already. And I just touch on this because when I think of William Houston, I just think of young look. Like he looks young. Like I think there's so much more to come in him. Like the guy, I mean, he's a $153 right now is what he weighs on the profile. Like, he's only going to get stronger. The movement patterns are exactly what you'd want. Like, there's only going to be more life and velo coming for him. So just a little tip to anybody out there. Like, if you are an aspiring baseball player in high school right now, you want to look as young as possible. And you want to be as far away from your ceiling as humanly possible.
That's a great call.
Yeah, William
Great call
Houston
out.
had some dynamic stuff. I got to see a little bit of his outing, Pete, and I was very impressed.
I've got 2 Southern Illinois arms I really want to touch on. The first being Nolan Liebert out of Mascoutah, another guy who I feel like continuously has gotten better and better, has now committed to Olivet Nazarene after this event, and just really like the pitchability on the mound. He was really spinning a breaking ball for us as well, and he was throwing it. He could throw it in any count. It's an out pitch right now for him, so that was one guy I wanted to shout out. The next being Dylan Jantz out of O'Fallon. This is a kid I saw last spring. We're talking 2024 down at the Kickoff Classic, and then unfortunately for him, he ended up getting injured, missed this past spring. But last spring, he was just a mid-80s arm. Now, coming off an injury, he was up to 89 for us, sitting in the upper 80s. Has now committed to Kaskaskia, so he's now off the board. But those are 2 arms down there in Southern Illinois that I thought showed really well for me.
Lou Ratcliffe making a nice jump. He's up to 125 right now. He was someone that I saw in the spring that just hit every single time I saw him, and every account that I have of him from whether it was myself or other people, like scouts or coaches, they all say he just rakes. And we got him in the showcase, and there's measurable tools that really stand out as well. He's up to 103 for the EV, and he's a 6'7" runner. So pretty dynamic tools, and he's just an in-game performer. I feel like that's another one that's just absolutely warranted of a nice jump.
Well, you bring up
Sure.
a interesting dynamic there with 60 time and power. Go ahead, Gavin. I'm sorry if you were gonna get in there.
No, go.
Um,
You're good.
It's something that I really key in on when a guy runs and has power. I think every coach is looking for that. So like if there's a guy that's checking those 2 boxes, I think we got to pay a little bit closer attention to him. Because if you can run, impact the game on the bases, and hit for power, that's really what coaches are looking for now, and that's what pro scouts are looking for. Guys that can really, really run and hit for big power. And Lou Ratcliffe definitely checks those 2 boxes, especially fact, he's a corner infielder that runs that well. That you just don't see that. So I don't know if that'll move to a corner outfield at some point, but I know he's impressed us just with the loud contact in the past. I have another corner infielder that I was going to call out here, Gavin, unless you were getting in with a guy. Michael
Yeah,
Arroyo.
I'll get in after you.
All right. Plainfield Central. He was a guy I had nothing on coming into the Illinois State games. I know we had something on him, getting him to that event. I was just really impressed. I thought the swing was really real. It looks like kind of a middle of the order type of profile. A guy that could hit anywhere from like 2 to 7 in your order, because I thought there was some barrel control and some like gap to gap to it. And then he looked like a real third baseman. Saw him make a couple above average plays. Like the actions, how he just walks around on the field, how he holds his glove. Like, I know that stuff sounds really simple and maybe not like a great evaluation piece, but like I don't know. There's something about the way he carries himself, and there's something about the way good players carry themselves on the field that just kind of sticks out. Whether it's what you were talking about, Tyler, with like the way Dominic Batista runs the bases, or the way Lucas Simulik, plays extremely fast on the infield at shortstop, and the way his feet move, and the balance and control he plays with for how fast and the range he shows. I just really liked it out of Michael Arroyo. I think he's a guy that's worth a close follow, and he jumped into the rankings for the first time in number 167.
A guy that I wanted to get in on is right-handed pitcher Jarrett Quinn from Richwoods. And I think he's a great example because we have him ranked at 208. And he is, I think, a very talented pitcher. He's an interesting arm that was up to 87. If you watch his video from August 6th in his profile, you'll see in the first pitch there's a really good slider. And he gets like some swing and miss on his off speed. Like, it's just a very sharp pitch. But I think it just shows how good players are in Illinois, top to bottom. Like, there's still arms that are at what we have is 208. We think he's the 208th best player. But he's still obviously a very interesting and good arm that could impact a college rotation next year in his freshman year at college. Like, I just think he's another arm that's interesting down there, but also just, again, like I said, goes to show how talented the state is as a whole. Like, he's going to be a guy that can play in college, whether we have him listed at 100 here or we have him at 208 like Jarek.
It's an awesome call out. Because that breaking ball and the way his arm works, like, I could definitely see that being ranked higher. But I'm going down the list, and it's like I click on 268, Reed Hepperly from New Berlin. He's up to 88. He's 6'3". Like, there are really, really good players in this state, and it is hard to be ranked. And whether you think you should be ranked 150 or 220, there are people that would just give a lot to be on that list. And if you're on that list at all, we think you are a really, really good player.
And, I mean, another name I had written down, guys, is Logan Rosenthal. Kind of going all over the place with the rankings here, but we have him at number 135. He went up almost 30 spots. Committed to Heartland after the event. Just like a scrappy left-handed hitter from St. Joe Ogden. Had some good metrics, 6'7" runner. I think he's a good defender. I've seen him in the spring, and he's kind of like that hard-nosed left-handed hitter, tough to get out for pitchers, fouls off a lot of pitches. Has some speed on the base pass, like just a very polished hitter, I would say, in that sense. And he's a really interesting name that, I think he showed well at the state games, which is why he's kind of going up in the rankings the way that he is. But just a lot of good players in Illinois.
I'm staying on that St. Joe Ogden train there. Like, Will Haley got into the rankings for the first time. Former catcher, now playing the outfield for St. Joe Ogden. It's kind of cut out of that same cloth. Like, just a grinder, scrapper, can run. They got Trevor Ames, who's a position guy that's also mid-80s on the mound. Bryson Houshins was hammering some baseballs. Like, they kind of stood out to me. I kind of love sitting back, and then you look back at the roster and it's like, oh, what school had multiple players and then multiple players that showed well. I always love to see that, but for some reason this year, like, St. Joe Ogden was a school that definitely stood out to me in that regard. And then you love to see the colleges that are committing the most guys out of here. I know we've talked on that last year with Lakeland, and feel like Lewis University has been really busy so far. And love to see in-state schools getting after the Illinois kids. And I'm 100%. Sure there's going to be so much more to come this fall with these, commitments and from the Illinois State games and who's going to end up, winning that award or getting the most state game commits. But we'll be following.
Yeah. I mean, before we wrap this up, guys, are there any other names that you wanted to kind of get in on? Or, I mean, there's obviously, for the listener, there's hundreds and hundreds of names that we could touch on. Like, I think every kid on that list is deserving of some information and us talking about them. But, I mean, we'd be on here for hours on end. And so go ahead, Drew.
Well, no, it's crazy. Like, just the top, I'm looking at the top 105, and you got Matthew Rogers at 99. He's a newcomer. Hayden Foster is a newcomer at 103, and Jackson Canoyer is a newcomer at 104. All are super interesting, upper 80s arms with, like, more than just a fastball, projectable frames. And Hayden Foster was one of my biggest winners. You want to talk about surprises or guys maybe we weren't sure what to expect. Thought he threw the ball really well at the Illinois State games, and he's from Caneland. But there's so many guys we could touch on. And if you're not mentioned, on this podcast, it doesn't mean we're not paying attention to you. We could just be on here all day. Maybe we'll
I know
podcast.
I shot you a note and said I was done. I'm gonna be very brief. I got 4 bats I just want to mention because I thought these guys really swung it well on field 2 for me from start to finish for the event. Braden Robertson out of O'Fallon. Dane Poe is actually giving us a bunch of really good nuggets on Braden. Seems like he's a versatile kid. Could really be like a utility at the next level, play anywhere. Zach Oland out of Wilmington. This kid's got like ridiculous juice with the bat. Lucas Faribault out of Ottawa, some real sneaky pop. Went yard for me on field 2. And then the last guy is Bryce Tensa out of Providence Catholic. Supposedly a big-time football player as well. Very physical kid who can really swing it and has some juice as well. So just 4 names I wanted to spit out real quick.
I'll go one more bat as well. Liam Dare from Batavia. Thought he was a really good winner. Had a huge spring for Batavia. He's in there at 169 now, but just big measurables too, like 104 exit velocity, had a ton of bat speed when you look at the blast numbers, and then he was all over the barrel with authority in game. Little bit of a longer swing on video, but it's really on plane. It looks like he's going to hit for a lot of power at the next level, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a really awesome event, really good class. We're talking about a lot of these guys. Like Drew kind of mentioned, if you didn't get talked about, there's so many players that could be talked about. So we were just kind of trying to go through guys that maybe kind of jumped onto the scene this year or this summer, really, at the state games in that 2026 class. So I think we'll probably do something similar next week with the 27s and the 28s to follow in the next few weeks. Talk about some guys from the state games, future games, things like that. But if there's anything you guys want to get into before we get out of here, feel free. But if not,
go Bears.
We can wrap it up. Go Bears, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, go Steelers.
Penn State got a big game this weekend. Is there anything, Tyler?
No, they don't have a big game for a few weeks. They got a pretty soft non-conference schedule, which is good. So
yeah, I heard they have actually like a fairly easy schedule this year.
They do, so they better win one of their big games or two. So that's all I got.
Yeah. All right. Well, that will wrap up episode 36 here of the Bullpen. Appreciate you guys listening. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and we will see you next week.
Click those buttons. Click subscribe. Get on that. Need all the help we can get. Thanks.